today's edition of the Meeting Point. I am Michael Ikeogwu. Today we'll be looking at the topic, the 2023 elections, the zoning brouhaha. The game to 2023 election is ticking per seconds, and political parties are working hard to ensure that a particular zone gets their ticket, considering their popularity, their interest on where their party will produce either the governor or the president of this country. That is the tool that has given Nigerians concern. At the national level, the two major political parties have not made up their mind on where the next president of the country should come from. While the zones are agitating that it will either go to the north or south. But some from the zones are saying that it is their turn to produce the candidate of their party, while the others are agitating. At the state level, the story is not different. In Delta State particularly, the agitation for zoning has been on, and the stakeholders have not been able to really arrive at a compromise on where the zoning should come from. At a caucus meeting held recently in Asaba, we were made to understand that the issue of zoning came up, but they didn't come to a conclusion on where the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party should come from. But for the people, APC, the All Progressive Congress, we have not heard anything about zoning from that particular party. That is the topic we are going to look at today. 2023 elections, the zoning brouhaha. To discuss this issue today, we have in the studio two gentlemen of the press. Comrade Sorokwu is in the studio. Comrade Sorokwu, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
We also have Comrade Abel Johngold. Abel Johngold, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers.
I know you have followed the events recently happening at the both national and state level with regards to zoning. Abel Johngold, what is your take on this teething issue?
You see, when you are talking about the president or the governor, every ethnic group believe that for them to get a share of the national cake is only when the office is zoned to them. Everybody is agitating for it. It's not that one particular zone or region or tribe has monopoly of talent. Every tribe, every community have talent of galaxies of stars that can lead this country or this state successfully. So when they are not agitating that you should zone it to them, it is because they believe that it is the only way that they will benefit from the national cake when it is zoned to them. But left to me, I never supported zoning because it breeds laziness. As far as I'm concerned, when you talk about zoning, you give room for incompetent persons to come to power. That is my view about zoning. So I don't.
Sorokwu, I know you are an apostle of zoning, and but the way and manner we are going about it in this country, are you comfortable with it?
Well, the political system has a way of evolving itself. The two leading parties, APC and PDP, they both have their principles of zoning. Howbeit, it is more pronounced in the PDP. In the APC, it is not enshrined in the Constitution. Whereas in the PDP, it is conspicuously stated or stipulated in their Constitution. For APC, it is a matter of understanding. But in the PDP, it is copious.
You have opportunity of reading it.
It is in the PDP constitution. Zoning is clearly stated in the PDP. Yes, zoning is clearly stated in the PDP constitution.
If it is written there,
it is clearly written.
How is it written? How did they plan that the rotation should be?
Yes, I may not succinctly quote the particular section of the constitution, but I used to know a portion of the constitution that talks about zoning in the PDP. Now, if you look at the federal or the center, the PDP was not able to prove their acts rightly in terms of zoning. Yes, zoning started with the South. The presidency started with the South. Obasanjo came in 1999 through 2007. And then I said, okay, it should be shifting to
the North.
And then Obasanjo came in, stayed for less than 2 years, passed on. Then Jonathan took over. So you discover in the PDP, the North had not really had its fair share of the zoning arrangement. So if in the PDP they decide to concede to the North, I think the party may have done justice to its aspirants. That may not be the case in APC, where the president, incumbent president, is from the North. So it is expected that power should shift to the South, that the party should, as a matter of necessity, zone the president, their presidential ticket to the South.
Okay, your analogy is quite clear, but the non-partisan Nigerians are saying that since the present leadership of the country is in the North, that it will be only fair for the South to have the next shot, irrespective of the political party.
No, you cannot say irrespective. I'm coming. That is where I want to. There's a caveat there. You cannot say irrespective of the political party, because PDP is not working for APC. APC is not working for PDP. Both of them, they are dagger drawn to seize the reins of power. You know, so their strategy should differ. All they are looking for is how to grab power. So if for the PDP, they now decide, I think to grab power, we need to throw the ticket up north. It is their strategy. And you cannot hold them guilty for it. What every political party is angling for is to be in power. So that could be the strategy of the PDP, you know. But again, APC may capitalize on that. And so you see, PDP is insensitive. They still want power to return to where it is still coming from. It becomes a campaign strategy for them. So either way, strategy of the political party comes to play. Where should we put our ticket so that we can win the sentiment, feelings, you understand, of the electorate?
Okay.
So that becomes key. So it is not whether irrespective. No. The party wants to be in power. How can we be in power? If we put this thing in the North, will it sway political sentiments of the masses towards us? And I think that is where it's about interest.
Okay, Johngold, if we are not going to look at the mind of the common man who believes that to a large extent that since the leadership at the center is from the North, the present leadership at the center is from the North, that it will be proper to zone it to the South, for the South to have another 8 years to hold sway. John Sorokwu has said that it's not about the people now, it's about the party.
Yes.
Do you agree with him that it's about the party and not Nigerians?
I wouldn't say I agree with him because he mentioned that they have always been zoning like in the PDP. I don't think so because if you look at all the elections in this country, every year have always been contesting those elections in this country. From 1999, you have the Abubakar Karimi and others who contested with Obasanjo. The Adamu Shiroma was in that race. Umaru Shinkafi was in that race. Alexei Kwame was in that race, and Obasanjo eventually emerged. Even our own Philip Asedu from Afadaye was in the race before Obasanjo emerged. I'm talking about the PDP, not even other party, because in that party you have the Sarakis, Olushola Sarakis, you have Arimasha. You have Arimasha, you have Arimasha from Rivers State, you have Ariakondi from Osun State or Ekiti State also, and you have Ibrahim Waziri. They were all in the AAPP race. It was only in the AD that you have just one Northerner and two Yorubas. Now I'm talking about Balaigi, Olufalaye, and one Northerner, I can't remember. And God bless you. And even in the AAPP, you also have Ogbonna before the emergence. Are you getting me? So they have never really been zoning. You never treat the same thing. Even in Delta State here, we'll be talking about zoning. It's just that one person grab it, others will not align. That's what they'll be doing. So now I'm talking about zoning. Zoning has never existed in this country. It is just verbal saying. And when you say party arrangement or people's feelings, the people that are having these mixed feelings, do they really study this politics very well? Just like Sorokwu actually mentioned. It is not that the PDP love the North, that's why they want to zone their presidential ticket to the North. They are very into that because they believe that that is where they will get the number of votes.
They are not eventually zoned.
No, and that agitation is coming because they believe that is where they will get the numbers to sway, to defeat the opposition, like the APC. Yeah, are you getting me? So APC now are saying that it is not fair that power being the North, let it come to South. And like I said earlier, since the advent of democracy, this present democracy now, 1999 till now, the North have, if the Obasanjo complete 2 years, it's complete 8 years. North would have ruled for just 10 years, while other years are for South. So the North are also now agitating that no, let it be open or show to the North so that they will complete the tenure of the South. But I'm telling you that these people, they are not agitating for this zoning because of Nigerian interest, but personal interest. They believe that this is the only way through the shortcomings they will get there. So I never supported zoning. Let it be open because zoning will breed laziness, incompetent people. There are some persons who just want to hide money somewhere that want to be zoned to them. They will just use money or follow the shortcut to get it. And there are some persons too who have the money, who never wanted to spend their money. They just believe that through zoning they will not get it. Are you getting me? Like microwave, I had the language from Sorokwu for the first time, microzoning. You mentioned the word microzoning at the time that you zone to a smaller place. My brother, in classrooms, when you're in school, you have one A class, maybe class A, B, C, D. Are you getting me? If you now say the examination will not be set for only maybe class D or E, and you now use that one to judge everybody, you cannot. But let it generalize, let everybody go into the field. No zoning. Let us compete for it. Whoever gets it, let the best get it.
From Johngold's position, you said right from the birth of this present democracy that there has no zoning, even in PDP, that is enshrined their constitution. Johngold was able to reel out names of those who didn't come from South but participated in that election. How come the contest was?
You see, Johngold is modeling up things. He's modeling up the issues. And we need to put the issues in their proper perspective. You don't zone what you don't have. Everybody will jostle for it. All the zones will jostle for it at the inception of that dispensation. Imagine that everybody will jostle for it.
Okay.
It is after a zone has cleansed it that zoning commences. I'm coming.
Okay.
That zoning commences. And that is why immediately Obasanjo cleansed it. In the different parties, they were all jostling for it. But I can tell you that once a particular zone clinches it, zoning begins. It's just like the case of Delta State, bringing it down to Delta.
Okay.
Okay? There will be that political sentiment. When in 1999, the jostling began, it was left for Central, Kenneth Baggy, Samuel Ebe, and Ibori. These were 3 people that contested. It was allowed for them. It was an understanding the PDP had from the whistle go. And then 3 of them went for primaries. James Ibori emerged. And then they drafted that zoning arrangement. Yes, you cannot disenfranchise somebody. It's a right for you to...
I want to disagree.
I'm sorry, sir. Let me learn.
Before you continue. For the ongoing conversation in Delta State, the political leaders have said there was never a...
I'll come to that. I'm going there.
When you say it was... Yes. So that's the point I want to...
I'm going there. Now, there is, as it were, an understanding among them.
Good.
Okay? Now, but not everybody honors zoning. Like you mentioned, really, after he contested, yes, both in 1999 and also in 2007. I mean 2003. Okay? Now, there will be deviant in the system. And because it is their fundamental human right, you can't take it away from them. But the issue is that what is the general sentiment or the majority sentiment of the political class? Okay? So, in Delta State, there is that common understanding there should be zoning. But along the line, the arrangement was distorted. Anyway, came up in 2003 against Ibori. You know, even when he did, and he came up in UNPP, Nwoko came up in Abga. The question is, did Delta not follow them? The answer is no, because the political class, you know, already had a mindset that there is an understanding to zoning. So the vote swayed in line with the zoning understanding. Now, in 2007, persons came out from Central to contest in the PDP.
Yes.
Eweriga came up. Obebala came up. Omwagi came up. Agwara, they all came up. But eventually, the tide swayed towards north and south.
Yes.
And the 2 key or principal aspirants were Udua and Okowa. Okay? Before an understanding, they were able to broker an understanding that let one of them go. The other will take over from the one that goes. And that understanding, they tended to follow it until 2015, after South had completed their 8-year run. And then David Idiwekimi from Central again. So you can also see that in the Delta State zone arrangement, the Central had been the distorting block in the zoning understanding of the PDP.
Okay, so let me take you on there. If truly there was an agreement that zoning will take effect, how was the arrangement? After Central, were there any time they decided that one of this particular zone will go after Central? Since you said because our democracy was evolving in 1999, the Central people concentrated and they contested. Was there any plan to say after Central, SAP will go, or after Central, North will go?
No, I don't think there was any such arrangement.
You see, how can you conclude that?
Now, in a democracy,
yes.
And in party politics, you understand, like you was talking about you don't allow indolence to rule the system.
Yes.
Okay? Now the first thing is, allow people to come out and see the zone that shows much of greater interest. So in 2007, there was a G3, there was Equity 2007. Equity was championed by Senator Peter Mwabashik and other Delta Northern elements. G3 was championed by Brouhaha, Funke Keme Solomon, Ovozere Macaulay, and other Delta South political lights.
That is why I say people are using this agitation.
Now, when it comes like that, you understand, they begin to look at where is the strength. Where will the party, that is where the party politics comes in now.
Which means there is no clear definition of
because
if there was clear definition, what we need for other senatorial districts to be.
That is what we are saying. What we are saying is that though there is an understanding for zoning, the players do not honor it.
It means that if it's written,
the players do not honor it. And that is why I agree with the philosophy of APC. In APC, there is no spelled out zoning arrangement. It is an understanding thing. It is a calculation. Where can we win?
No,
or how can we win?
Not money up this.
No, I'm not money up. I'm saying
what I'm saying now. You have painted a picture that looks like there was an agreement.
No, I didn't say agreement. Understanding.
There was an understanding. What did the party do to those that disobey the law that country?
There is no law in politics. Politics has no law governing it. There is no constitution or law that governs politics.
And you submit yourself to the
politics. Listen, politics is a game of influence and interest.
Shema.
Okay, so when people are playing politics, you understand? There is no hard and fast rule governing politics. Okay, it's government.
Let me take Johngold on that.
Okay.
Sorokwu has painted a picture that is interest and what?
Influence.
Interest and influence.
That governs politics, yes.
Then why are you supporting zoning?
I support zoning for fairness, for equity, for justice. And because I believe that every zone is endowed with competence, character, capacity of men. Look at all the zones in this country. There is none in want of men with such attributes. So if you now begin to say, let it be thrown open. Two things. One, there will be chaos. There will be political chaos. Two, there will be wastage of resources, human resources, material resources, even wastage of lives. But when you microzone it, you microzone. Because we have two political dichotomies in this country, north and south. In the north you have three
geopolitical
zones. In the south you have three geopolitical zones. So when they say zone it to the north first, then when you get to the north, you microzone it. Microzoning means now focusing on a particular zone up north, because you cannot leave power just in one zone. You should make it even so that there will be fairness, equity, and justice. Now, if there is want of these attributes, you begin to see ill feelings among people. We are all humans. You begin to see ill feelings, and ill feelings leads to agitation. Agitation leads to protest. Protest could become violent. From there, you begin to see war. You begin to see all manner of insurgency. So, to curb that, you must allow things go round. The same thing is applicable to allocation of resources. The same thing is applicable to issue of resource control. Only recently, the issue of gold mining in Zamfara stirred up the issue of VAT in the south. Both Lagos and Rivers. Lagos has even an APC state. It's more like a tacit revolt against the center. APC in the center, APC in Lagos. So it is no longer an issue of party now. Because Lagos, yes, is PDP, but Lagos or APC.
It may not be. The interest of Lagos was not based on politics.
That's what I'm saying. I said we are now economic interest.
Fairness and economic.
That's what I married it to equity, fairness, and justice. I said anything you do, it could be allocation of resources, equity, fairness, and justice. Whether economy, whether politics, whatever it is, ensure that it is the watchword. If you don't place that as a watchword, you are bound to meet with violent agitations like we are having.
Okay, thank you very much. Johngold, coming to Delta State, so we have taken us back to Delta. We have discussed at national level before, but now that we have brought us to Delta State, let's look at it critically. There is this agitation that Delta Center has taken her turn with James Onedifebori being on the saddle. Thereafter, Delta South with Dr. Emmanuel O'Brien being in charge. I'm currently Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa holding sway for the North. The agitation now is the circle is complete.
Yes.
How do we start? Where do we start? Who is to take first? Central said they have waited for 16 years. That it is only proper and fair for them to
wait for 32 years.
Wait for 32 years just to take the next shot. South is saying other zones have gotten their slots. That it is our turn. They now are looking at ethnic, like Sorokwu will say. They are micro emphasizing it. So they are talking about micro-zoning it now to ethnic groups in the state. What is your take on this?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. What we need in Nigeria or in Delta is orientation. You need to orientate the people. They need to learn. You need to expose them. It's just like our NUJ now. In the NUJ, we have many chapels. The cloth of the correspondent chapel where the is from is not the same thing as my own chapel. It's like you say you want to zone the chairmanship of the union to NTA. That you know they have the least members of the union or to the Federal Formation Chapel. It is not by zone that you will benefit. It is only, just like you rightly said, when what belongs to you is sent to you. You get whatever that you are supposed to get. What's good to you, you will get it. Not that you will not be denied of what is supposed to come to you. It is only when this is established that okay, at the end of every allocation, my own community will get 50,000 naira. Whether or not whoever is there, my future will come to me. That is when I will be at peace. I will not care for who will be there.
But it will come to you.
No, those are the things that
society we have. Ours is not an egalitarian society.
By where you are from. Because if you think you want to support this zoning, the next you begin to support tribe, and from tribe you need to community to community. Look at even in Central today.
And you think anything is wrong with that?
Something is wrong. Look at the Central today. When you hear the agitation, they are telling you about one zone that has not produced, one zone that senatorial district, federal that is yet to produce a governor. That one even forgot that you are even holding two key positions right now. That when you move for there, you cannot just finish for this position and come get the same position again. Or maybe you get a higher one immediately that's supposed to spread around. Instead of looking for the competent people, we need people that will stand up in the face of the likes of L5 and Zulum that we will clap for. Those are the people we need, not because it is your tribe or you will not be there. You need people that will help us.
What are you clapping for L5 for?
I know what I know.
Because he's talking.
Not because he's talking. Even when he's talking, it's also good.
What is saying that?
No, you see, sometimes we play to the gallery.
No.
Let me tell you something. Yes, sometimes in politics we play to the gallery. I will tell you that until you entrench political principles that fundamentally takes cognizance of peace, progress, and development,
yes,
we will continue in a vicious cycle Now, when we talk about zoning, I can tell you that we are naturally nepotistic. Every man is naturally nepotistic. Abel, you work in federal information.
Yes.
Your salary, you don't share it on the street when you receive it.
At all.
Where do you share it?
My house.
Your house. It is a natural thing. It comes to you naturally.
Yes.
Chairman, you earn your salary. Once you collect it, the first thing you do with it is to spend it at least 80% on your family.
Of course.
Not even your brother's family. So when you talk about zoning,
that is natural.
I am even for that microzoning
Is helping me now.
allocation. Now when you say it should not be zoned, any man in power is naturally nepotistic. Like people are saying that the governor is clannish. That even Emeka, that he has sentiments.
That is why we need to change
towards our.
You are saying
we need to change our orientation because there's no orientation that changes self.
You can change.
There is no orientation that can take away self. It's not possible.
You are taking Johngold away from the question I asked. The circle is complete.
Yes.
That is the agitation now.
No, why I am coming this way, he still believes that there should not be any zoning.
There should not be zoning
Let
at
me make it
all.
clearer.
Let it be open. Let us go to the field. Let us compete. Let the best of
We are not part
Which
of
best now?
everybody
Everybody's
that decide where their party candidate should come from.
Beautiful.
Yes. So let's accept it. Both of us don't have power to decide it.
No.
But now that it is reality facing us,
Yes.
is how you feel it should be done. That I'm thinking that you should.
You know I feel.
Because we cannot influence it now, whether it's going to be zoning or not be zoning. Because you won't be part of the conference that will decide this. You are not a candidate of the political parties. The question now is, now that the circle is complete, from central to south, from south to north, is complete. People are agitating that let's sit down and decide now. Because if the initial time there was no agreement, let's sit down and come up with a blueprint on how this rotation should be. Are you in tandem with that?
Yes, I'm in tandem with it. What I'm still saying now, and I still stand by it, that let this thing be open. Because you look at those that are clamoring for the zoning.
No, we're not talking about open now.
Hold on. Just take example of Delta South, for example. The judges that are clamoring for governor, they head out to the Senate that belongs to 3 ethnic group. These so-called they are not even complaining. The judges head to that Senate.
Why are they not complaining?
Hold on, my bros. The Shekris are not
complaining because Omo has been there in the Senate.
Just one tenure and for 20 years now the judges are there. These so-called have not been minister in this country. They have not been minister. Omo was the ministry governor to appointed by Buhari,
And that is not a position of authority. No, sorry now. Is that not a position of authority? Is a question.
Is there this around with minister?
You know, position. No, okay, are you not telling me that, for instance, now that the central bank governor is not a position of authority?
It's a position of authority.
So what are you talking about? Whether appointed or elective?
Yes.
You understand? A position of authority where you have
since this
power to dispense with public resources.
You have not given the deputy governor. You gave the senator for just 4 years. You that have been deputy governor, you be senator for 20 years. You are still agitating that you want to be governor. You robos that have been holding on to power for years, military rule, civilian rule, they still want to come back. The anomaly that started with Denis Osadebe, before he ever today Okowa, they are also agitating.
So if you look at it now,
why don't you?
That is who have governor the next.
No, leave it open. Let the best get it.
Let the best get it.
Yes, but leave it open. Because the Yoruba will tell you that this is at all. Inside the Yoruba, you have problem with the Okpes, the Ethiopists, the Jews. Those ones are also lament that they are not getting the power to power. Even when Ugeli sat, we do Okpe, HO East. This even Uye, they also agitating.
Okay, can you give me the yardstick or criteria for choosing who the best is?
Yes, okay.
Listen, I know why I ask these questions.
Yes.
Is it because one has deeper pocket than the other? Because it could give you an advantage. So because you have a deep pocket or you have the deepest of the pockets, does that make you the best? Because that could give you an advantage to claim the power.
Yes.
Now what I'm saying is this. In all the zones, in all ethnic groups, if anybody is clamoring that his ethnic group has been marginalized, is an ill feeling. It should be looked into.
No, that is why Johngold is advocating that people they should throw it open. So that if you are popular and you feel you are the best, let the legislature decide who will lead them. That is
it is not all about deep pocket. It's about deep pocket. No, you know if it's what he's saying. You know will not be governor. What he's saying. How will know Lamadeshino or the civilian governor? You know Bisakon. These persons will not be governor if it's about deep pocket. But the people love them. They believe in them, and they were elected. There were deep pockets behind them. So there are deep pockets behind any man that emerges. There is a deep pocket behind any man that emerges on the scene of power. If you are a good product, don't say pockets. They are all deep pockets.
Let's come back.
I'm sorry, just a minister. If the state government is your private business, would you want to zone it to an incompetent hands?
Who is incompetent among them? Can you mention the person that is incompetent?
We're not looking at
what criteria you use now to know who is.
Leave it open.
The people that have come out, can you tell me who is incompetent?
If you want to hire person, you want to hire the best.
I think I'm still in control. Let's calm down.
No, it's part of the brouhaha.
Calm down. Let's take the brouhaha.
It's part of the brouhaha. I'm telling you.
Let's take it gently, so that our viewers will understand what we are saying here. The circle is completed. We are talking of PTP. We are not talking of APC now.
We'll come to APC.
Because I don't know what APC. We have not had anything about APC.
For APC, let me take that.
APC
the last
is like a business. So
you are entitled to your opinion.
The last verse.
You are entitled to your opinion.
The circle is complete. That is what we are saying.
Yes.
The circle is already completed now. People are saying debtors need to come together.
Yes.
To decide how this rotation should be. That is the question I am asking. Forget about any zone will have the best or the others will have the best.
Okay, can I?
All the zones according to.
Can I come in?
I will tell you that.
Can I come in?
Let me ask my question.
If
I direct to you, ask if I don't direct to this quiet for now.
Okay, sir.
Don't bring Brouhaha here.
Okay.
Johngold,
Sir.
forget about whoever will emerge. It's not your business. It's not my business because we won't be there when
it's a party decision.
It's a party decision.
Yes.
What, in your own opinion, should be the direction debtors should follow now that the circle is completed?
Okay. My advice is that debtors, whether APC, whether PDP, do not look at the person's tribes. Do not look where the person is from. Do not look the person's pocket. Just look at this. This person will be the one that will be our Zulu and or our Fashola, and let's vote for that person. Not by party or religion.
I have
your assessment of these people. Yes. The assessment of others.
No, your assessment of them is not your assessment.
No, that's the assessment of others.
Look at what's the standard.
Make every benefit what ought to come to.
What's the standard?
Not the person you go and beg. You go and say, offset. You don't need to go to come to Asaba before you get electricity. You don't need to come to Asaba from your village before you get water or good road to road that will link your community. You don't need to come to Asaba before you get that. Do your work in that. You don't need to send Asaba. Do your community, do your business. Forget about government. That's the kind of person you need to vote for. Not the person that will come to your community. I don't know if you go and queue up behind it and will give you money.
Thank you very much.
So please avoid such person.
From the discussions going on,
I wanted to do a flavor of what everybody has said.
You will follow. I'm still on Johngold because the way he's looking at this.
No, I just wanted to ask him a question so that I can take you from there.
Let me come up.
Now, you said debtors should vote according to you, these attributes. Now, the woman in the village,
yes,
the real electorate,
yes,
that does not even know these people, has no one-on-one with them, does not know the antecedent either. how will they know? Is it by fine face that they will now know, this man face is fine, it looks like he can tar road. This one is fine, it looks like he can build bridges. Or this one is straight to, it looks like a football pitch. The question is, how will the true electorates at the grassroots, because that's where the voting is.
Yes.
The voting is not in Asaba. The voting is in the youth, in the units, the wards and down the units.
Right.
And those units are where you have 80 to 90% of uninformed people that don't have that reach, that contact with the gladiators on the platform. So how do you expect them to know all these things you are saying? Look out for this or look out for that.
I started with reorientation that Nigerians need to be orientated. They need voters' education. They need to learn. That is what we need to do first before talking about the election. You need to expose them. You need to educate them. You need to let them know that, look, do not vote for salt and a bag of rice. Vote for someone that will help you around. Okay, how will you not know that kind of person? You need to learn. You need education. You need all these things. Those are the things we are lacking in this country.
Johngold, it will be difficult.
Can I?
Election in Nigeria is decided by the elites. The elites will sit here and go back to their villages
and decide
and tell the people this is
where the direction is.
Where the direction is.
And that is where the political party platforms come handy.
Yes. So in advanced countries, they may have the opportunity to assess the candidates by themselves. But where we find ourselves today, it will be difficult for my mother, who is in the village, that may not have the opportunity to watch TV or read newspaper or listen to radio throughout the year.
How many percent of the population is watching this program?
Sorry, to decide who she will vote for. So it will not depend on me.
Can I ask you one just one question?
Let me finish.
Okay.
She will not depend on me to make her own informed decision on who to vote. Do you understand? Sorokwu, Abel Johngold has said, throw it open. But from the discussion ongoing, we have realized that zoning in the state has helped the state to stabilize to an extent. Peace we're enjoying today, understanding we're enjoying today, is as a result of not hitting up the polity. By the time they agree, whether former or reformer, that this zone should produce, this senatorial district should produce, attention is now shifted to that senatorial district, while others, even though there may be people who will not abide by that decision, will still rise up to contest. But when attention is shifted to a particular zone, it reduces the tension within the political space in our state. What is your advice or your own opinion on this circle that has been completed and is about to start all over again?
Yes, I will not be speaking for the PDP.
I say your opinion.
Yes, I'm coming. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, because I'm coming. I know why I said that. Because your opinion is not binding on the political parties.
That is it.
It's not binding on the political parties. Now, for political parties, my advice will be, look introspectively into how you can win an election. Look introspectively. How can we win an election? What they are looking for in every wrestling contest, what they are looking for is for one person to be down and the other person up. The person up as one. So, for political parties, how can we win, take over the reins of power? How can we be believable before the electorates, the masses? And that is what the political parties should begin to attune their minds to. It is not what the man on the street thinks, but the interest the party would want to represent and be able to sell, and then get a candidate that embodies that aspiration of the party.
You are debated from your position. You said you are an apostle of zoning.
Yes.
And you are telling
I'm coming. That's what I'm saying.
No,
I'm coming. I'm laying foundation for what I'm saying. And that is why zoning becomes very important. Because if you don't look introspectively to know that if you deny certain zone or group or ethnic nationality what they think is due to them, there will be ill feeling that will spiral. Many can even move to the opposition party. If you throw it open, for instance, and because Delta North is in power, and the governor is able to influence the delegates at the primaries and install another Delta Northerner, will that be seen to have been fair, just, or equitable? It is not. Okay? So that is what we are saying, because he may have all it takes to sway delegates.
You have not really answered my question.
What I'm saying is that
I said
zoning should be sacrosanct.
So you believe in zoning?
Yes.
That you have said, both at the national and at the state.
Okay, what you are saying is that how should the zoning?
Listen now, we are saying this to people who are watching us, so that they also can pick something out of what we are saying. The political gladiators are angling that since the
cycle has been completed,
will it be proper for us to sit down and chart a way forward, or we should be looking at the ethnic groups that have not produced, which many people have also kicked against? That is my question.
And I'm answering that question. You are talking as a layman on the street.
Yes.
You are not talking as a politician.
Yes.
And what we are talking has nothing to do with independent candidature. It has to do with party nomination.
The party,
the
party that started is only we are talking about.
Thank you. What we are saying. I'm coming now. And I said I cannot speak for the party.
Then what are you speaking for now?
Listen now. It's an advice. I said it's an advice.
To who?
To the parties, political parties, that what they should have in mind is how can they win an election. It is not about you on the street, but it's about how the party can win election. It will help the party to choose its candidate. And that candidate, I'm coming, sir, and that candidate, for instance, if the feelings, the mass feeling is that it should be zoned to a particular district.
What do you mean by mass feeling? We have agreed there. Yeah.
Within the party, I'm not talking of, you see, it's party politics that we are doing.
Yes.
It has not come to general election.
Yeah.
Because when we're talking of zoning, it's the party that zones, it's not the masses that zone.
And I still don't understand what you mean by mass feeling, because if you go to this
I'm coming, sir.
The average
if the majority of the party system is saying zone this to this zone, the leaders, masterminds within the party should look introspectively, because what you present to the masses is either you vote for or not.
We are talking of is the Senatorial district in Delta. Let's not speak as if we are talking in vacuum. We have already had, an object of this discourse. The Senatorial districts have completed their cycle. You are speaking.
Okay, what you're saying is that we should start next.
You are speaking big grammar here.
What you're saying is that we should start.
No, not to start next. There is agitation that if we must continue, let's come to a round table and decide how we should go. That is what I'm saying.
And what I'm saying.
What you are saying is that when they see that a particular zone is agitating.
You are talking of. I'm coming. Right, what you are saying.
Okay, let me narrow it down now. PDP is saying, we are not talking, PDP is saying, PDP in Delta State.
Okay.
We have not had of APC. The PDP agitators are saying, we must come to a round table, since there was no formal agreement before now.
Who are those agitators?
Thank you. I say PDP agitators.
Who are the agitators in PDP?
The key players in PDP. You are asking me who is that?
Because
are you not?
I may not be aware. But listen, let me tell you where I'm coming from, so that you understand me clearly. Now, the PDP is not an ethnic party. The PDP is not as we are representing an ethnic interest. That is where I'm coming from. Where I'm coming from is that it's a political party across the state, across the 3 senatorial districts. Now, when they want to choose the candidate, they may not necessarily be pigeonholed by the agitation of ethnicity, but by the interest to win election.
No, you have not still answered this question.
For instance,
we are talking of interest to win election when we are talking about zoning. So, which means you have now aligned with Johngold.
No,
God says we should throw it open and the best candidate should win.
No, who is the best candidate?
Through the voting now.
You see, I said something here. I said the governor may have the capacity, for instance, to dictate the pace of the primaries.
We may continue this discussion tomorrow by the special grace of God. But because of time, can you summarize and let's round up?
In summary, the leading political parties should be mindful of peace, unity, fairness, equity, and justice in deciding who gets what come 2023.
Thank you very much.
The issue of zoning will make or mar this country 2023, both at the state or at the federal level. If the issue of zoning is not well handled, so I advise Nigerian political parties that for these states and the country remain one, let them throw away zoning and leave it open for the public to choose whoever they want. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The program has been the meeting point and the topic 2023 elections, the zoning brouhaha, where our guests have been able to identify the reason why zoning should be upheld, while the other discussant is of the opinion that Nigeria should throw it open, let the best candidate emerge. But we are still looking at how the political parties can handle this and come up with a candidate or candidates that will flag their party flag without really throwing this country into confusion. They have been advised to please look critically with in mind fairness, equity, justice, and peace that will guide this country beyond 2023, and that is what we're expecting that the political parties to do, so that Nigeria will remain one both at the state level and at the national level. I am Michael Ikeogwu. Thank you for joining us today.